Well, I hope it's good, Brian. This is not actually a rosé. This is pink Moscato. Hope everybody is doing well and not overheating in this July weather. Reminder right at the front, I will do my best to try and keep up with the chat, but the only thing that will absolutely guarantee that I see your comment and or question is to do it as a super chat, which will also get you the little gay heart of appreciation from me to you. I hope you enjoyed it, Ms. Wicked Wolf. I haven't seen it, and I'm in no rush to. Birthday? Well, happy birthday, Jason. You're the only one who gets to say if you're old, as far as I'm concerned. Gotta try and go easy on that. I need to try and not drink the wine at the pace that I tend to drink hard cider, because the wine is stronger. And this is not intending to be a drunk stream. Am I gonna see the new Superman movie? I might. Circumstances have aligned that it might actually end up being easier for me to get to the theater to see it than has been the case with a lot of stuff coming out lately. Like, keep in mind, about half the reason I miss stuff in the theater is logistics. Like, sometimes I'm like, I don't care that much, but more often than not, like, with everything that I have going on, trying to find the time, and given that my local theater only has 4 screens, sometimes stuff doesn't even come here, but even stuff that's guaranteed to, like Superman, it's the kind of thing where, like, am I too dang busy to do this? But I might actually get to it pretty close from when it comes out. So we'll see. Speaking of Superman, what do you think of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace? I don't think I've seen it start to finish. I know all about it. I've seen plenty of videos about it. I've definitely seen clips. I don't think I've seen it start to finish. I actually think I might only have seen the first one, front to back, all the way through. I feel like I've seen the other 3, but I actually couldn't swear to you that I have. Dharma, thank you for re-upping your membership. Greatly appreciated. The wine catches up faster? Yes, it does, Becca. Like, I still remember, cripes, it was like a decade ago. Nope. Yeah, about that. I still remember, like, a cheap wine party where everybody brought a bottle of cheap wine, and there was no wine left at the end of it, which means everybody drank an entire bottle of wine. It was an interesting evening. Are you a big Disney theme park fan? I like Disney theme parks. I'm like, I haven't been since my late 20s. And like, I'm not, I like it. I wouldn't mind going back, but it's not top of my priority list. Watching Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken on Friday. I heard so little about that movie, Jason. I hope you enjoy it. Do I ever crash out on the couch? If I crash out on the couch, it's usually more linked to the fact that there is good air conditioning in the living room. Better air conditioning than there is in my bedroom. That's probably has more to do with me crashing out on the couch than anything else. Totally with you on the censorship thing. Thank you, Dharma. That's a short that I put out earlier today for folks who don't know what Dharma's referring to. Interesting about that, it's getting actually very high engagement from the people who are seeing it. Like, for how many views it has, a lot of comments, a lot of likes. But it's also my lowest performing short out of the last 10 I've uploaded strictly in terms of views. So, like, it's doing exactly what I thought it would do, which is the algorithm is burying it, even though the high interaction level should mean the algorithm is pushing it. Elijah Anderson, thank you so very much for the super chat. Stay cool. I don't know what the weather's like on the East Coast, but in Boise, it's 102. Yeeks! Oh. Anyway, I just read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow to prepare for next year's Supergirl film. Highly recommend. I haven't actually read a comic in ages. But yeah, no, we had a heat wave over the weekend. It was in the 90s over the weekend. I feel like it was more like low 80s today. Oh no, it was actually mid 70s. Yeah, today wasn't too bad. Just remember random funny anecdotes from my teenage years. One of my favorite shows was HBO's Rome. I had the box set. One of my brother's friends got me to loan it to them. When I gave him season two, he turned over the box and looked at the picture on the back and said, "Oh, I wasn't expecting Antony and Cleopatra to get together." Someone who's here for the drama but doesn't know the history. I mean, that's kind of funny, but like, not everybody knows the history or the Shakespeare. I'd kind of lump those together. Have you seen the show Sequest DSV? If so, what is your opinion on the show? I saw maybe 1 or 2 episodes when I was like in middle school. Have I got the timing on that right? I do not have an opinion. I don't remember it well enough to have an opinion. Does anyone actually ever say unalive outside of the internet? Probably not. Probably not. I usually get notified by your shorts. Didn't see that one. I'm not surprised. Did you see Megan 2.0? I did not. That one was a case of it didn't come to my local theater. I would have had to drive 45 minutes away to get to it. And while I was kind of curious to see how bonkers it was going to be, I wasn't 45 minutes, an hour and a half round trip level of curious. So, no, I didn't see it. Interesting Kingdom. Yeah. Like I get so for context for folks who haven't seen the short, I talk about the sort of cutesy self-censoring that a lot of creators on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc. do using cutesy euphemisms like unalive, and these other sort of workaround, calling a certain kind of person a Yahtzee or a Yahtzee sympathizer or things like that. And I think we need to stop doing it. I get why they do it, because the algorithm buries you for use of those words. Like, they will deny that is part of the thing, like, because there's nothing on paper. There's nothing written down about a policy that says if you use these words, we will bury your videos. But creators have figured it out through trial and error because, their stuff would get buried or they get shadow banned or what have you. But I think we need to really start pushing back on it and stop doing the cutesy euphemisms, especially when we're talking about serious things. We need to be using the real words. And the thing is, unless the vast majority of us stop doing that, then it's not going to get any better, because the only thing that will get it to stop is if so many people refuse to play, the game of not saying these words, that, these organizations basically don't have any real choice because too many of their high-performing people are being buried. But it's also just kind of a principled thing at this point as well. Anyway, recent review video of Your Name. I would suggest showing Shinkai movies to the child. My nieces got hooked on them. Yeah, my kiddo, I don't think my kiddo would like Your Name. My kiddo doesn't care for romance, like kind of anime related stuff. I was able to get my kiddo into Miyazaki, like that's a layup. But Wolf Children. They really liked Wolf Children for a while. If you could sell your soul for service from Mephistopheles, what would you have him do? I see. First, I would need to get a uninvested third party to give me an honest assessment of the value of my soul before I could even begin to think about that. Do you have any plans to watch the entirety of Doctor Who canon, Classic Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, Class K9, etc.? I am eventually going to get through all of Classic. If you follow my secondary channel, Break Room of Geeks, I do one Classic Doctor Who story a month, at minimum. Sometimes I do more, but that's the baseline. So I am slowly working my way through Classic. I'll probably eventually watch the 4th season of Torchwood, which is the one I still haven't seen. Unless somebody commissions me, I don't really have a reason to go watch the Sarah Jane Adventures or K9, strictly because I am not the target audience, and I don't really have any interest in forcing myself to watch something that I know isn't for me and that I won't get that much out of. Like, those are both aimed at a far younger audience, and I just am not interested. So unless somebody commissions those, I'm probably never going to do them. Class, I will get to at some point, because I am curious about that one. Are you a musical theater fan? If so, have you seen Rachel Zegler on the balcony in Evita? So, 2 parts of this answer. Yes, I'm a musical theater fan. No, because I don't care about specific Broadway performers. Like, I care about the shows and like the soundtracks or what have you. I can barely remember the names of cast members. Like, there's a handful of Broadway legends who I know just because it's kind of hard to not know them if you know anything about theater. But like, I don't know who Rachel Zegler is. I don't particularly like Evita. I don't care about the performers as individuals, by and large. So I do like musical theater, but if musical theater fan means following Broadway stars, then no, I'm not. I would be shocked if they are making Megan 3.0 Ms. Wicked Wolf, because Megan 2.0 did not perform well, and it cost a lot more than the first one. I feel like the Pride near me is very late on in the year, 26th of this month. Don't ask. You heard of any that are later? Yeah, Vermont Pride's in September. Like, that's not to say there aren't Pride celebrations that go on in June. There are, but like Vermont Pride, at least in the most populous part of the state, is in September. So yeah. Are you watching Superman this week? Possibly. I addressed that earlier. Would grape be another example? Yes, Renard. It would be grape, or corn. Like, to move on a slightly less serious subject, but still no less annoying to me. I've recently binged all the Warwick Davis Leprechaun films, and boy, are those films a trip. That series is something, man. I tell you. Some of those euphemisms are used so often they're kind of becoming just the slang word for the thing. So I sometimes write on a live just to mean suicide without thinking. Yeah, again, I get why they started in use and I get why they get used, but I think whatever benefit there was at this point, it is just controlling language and the way we are able to talk about oftentimes various serious subjects, and I don't think that's good. Apart from what it would mean story-wise, do you think Billie Piper could make a good doctor for a full season? I think Billie Piper is capable of being a good doctor. What will we actually get? I don't know. Because my gut request, my gut instinct is to say, please don't just play her like Rose. But I also expect that's what they'll do. Would you argue that the 11th Doctor effectively killing the villain in Dinosaurs on a Spaceship is cruel? To my memory, Mr. Zaki Boy, no. I have not rewatched that one in a while. Some people keep bringing that one up. The end of that one has never bugged me as much, but I also haven't rewatched it in a while. It's possible there's specific aspects of that I am forgetting. Speaking of, one of my favorite movies was just adapted into a stage musical. The cast recording is absolutely hysterical. I'm glad you like it, Sir Jedi, and I'm very happy for you that you are pleased with it. I am so sick of movies being adapted into musicals. Fucking stop. Are politics okay today? Yeah, but I don't want it to become the entire stream. Like, if you want to touch on a political subject, I'm not going to say you can't, but I reserve the right to say I don't want to talk about that. You know how some people are in the same Broadway musical for years? Are there any instances of actors transitioning over the run of the show? Well, yeah. Any long-running show will have that. Like, hell, most Broadway musicals have turnover just season to season, because at least some of the supporting cast will get other work, if not the leads move on. So, or maybe I'm not understanding your question. Like, most of the time the cast changes. Certain people might become iconically associated with a part. Obviously, Lin-Manuel Miranda with most of the original cast of Hamilton, or Michael Crawford with Phantom of the Opera. It's often the originating actors kind of become linked iconically, although if a show runs long enough, sometimes you get newer ones who are kind of iconic in a role. I know people who really love Phantom will have other favorites that they'll name besides Michael Crawford and so forth. Have you ever seen, or do you have any interest in Sony Animation's K-pop Demon Hunters? I have seen it. I've shot a review. I need to edit it. I want to try and get it up in the break room after the stream's done. I would like Piper to be more like the moment in the 50th. Same. If she's going to evoke anything she's already done, I'd rather it be that. I'm not swearing that much, Kara. I was asking, are there any instances of an actor undergoing like gender transition? Not that I know of. I actually don't know of any. I couldn't name you a working stage actor who didn't have their career stall out by transitioning. Because off the top of my head, I only know one working stage actor who transitioned, and her career basically hit a brick wall. And it's not a name that anyone would know all that much. Like, she was not big. She's not on any like original cast recordings or anything. But Marla Alpert, who actually did some of the quote readings for the video I did on Drag Story Hour, she's a professional stage actress. And when she transitioned, that basically was more or less the end of her career. So I am not aware of anyone who has anyone on Broadway who had a career, transitioned, and kept it. Have you ever seen any of the Mike Flanagan shows on Netflix? They're all great. The only one I've seen is Haunting of Bly Manor, which I like quite a bit. I tried to watch Haunting of Hill House, except that show is childhood trauma, the series. So I bounced because my tolerance for children being traumatized is not high. And once I realized, like, oh, that's what the whole show is, I'm like, no, I can't. I haven't gotten around to his other stuff since then. Some of it I should, but again, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I would like to have seen already, and I haven't. Good morning. Just to let you know that thanks to a previous video you made, I've applied to help out at Stonewall. Oh, that's wonderful, Penny. That's wonderful. Can't say, just want to say you're awesome. Thank you, Angel. Appreciate that. My parenthood is showing. Like, I don't know how much of it is parenthood. Like, I can think of movies even that I saw when I was young, like babies crying or even young kids crying has always kind of upset me. Even before I was a parent. It got worse when I became a parent. I'll grant you that. But I've always kind of been like, ugh, no, don't like it. Makes me uncomfortable. What do you think would happen if the lead in a major Broadway musical announced, yeah, I'm transitioning, I'm happy to keep playing a man in the show or whatever? I have no idea. 255. I don't know enough about the backstage and or career politics of Broadway to have any business answering that. I have no idea. Watch the Snyder Cut for the first time to prep for the new Superman. Why? What? Why? What? What? I'm sorry. My brain just kind of came to a screeching halt. You watched the Snyder Cut to prepare for the new James Gunn written and directed Superman. My brain can't quite get there. I'm in a weird spot of both wanting to read a graphic novel of Snyder's plans and so glad they won't be filmed. Like, what little I've heard of what he wanted to... Like, I haven't looked into how much of this is, like, confirmed that he actually said it and how much is what people say he said. But some of the things that I've heard have been like, no, absolutely not. I'm glad that stuff didn't happen, at least from the bits that I've heard. So do you hate a series of unfortunate events or is it too goofy to turn you off? I only watched like a few episodes of the series version. I never read the books. I never watched the movie. It just didn't grab me regardless. What I can tell you is that at least as presented in the episodes of the show that I watched, the kids are going through traumatic events, but they do not act especially traumatized, at least not from what I saw. They're very stoic. They kind of have the Wednesday thing going on. So I'm not saying they aren't traumatized, but like, okay, what bothers me about young children being traumatized in media isn't that a traumatic thing happened to them. It has to do with the way kids respond and watching them endure that in a realistic reaction kind of way. That's what I can't handle. It's the exact same reason why I hate with a burning passion that joke from the second Wreck-It Ralph where like he overstuffs this rabbit in this game and it's implied that the rabbit like bursts and there's this cutaway gag to this kid like playing this game on her handheld and then the kid screams, and I hate that joke so much because her scream felt like a very genuine reaction of horror from a child, and that's not funny. It's not funny. So it's not about what the event is that happens to a child that upsets me, it's the response from the child. Like, because you could have a child be nonplussed and play it off comedically. You can totally do that. And I mean, I'm not going to say it'll automatically be good. Depends on all the specifics. But, like, I'll probably be okay with that. I want to see the contrast. Well, I mean, the contrast, that's the word for it. Sure. You know, if Billie Piper used her natural accent, she'll be the first revived Doctor to speak in RP. All the original ones did in the original series. Is her natural accent received pronunciation? I thought by definition, received pronunciation is nobody's natural accent. Do I not understand what that actually is? And that's fine that you thought that joke was funny, Black Cover. I hate that joke. I loathe that joke down to my bones. Like, I hate it with a burning passion. I hate that joke. I don't like that movie anyway, but I despise that joke. Bart Simpson being strangled? No, because again, he does not respond realistically. Okay, I don't want this to turn into people listing like things that are cruel or traumatizing to children in media to see if I am or am not okay with it. So I actually like to get off this topic. If we could, that'd be great. Is it bad life for legit forgot the new Megan was released? I mean, it's probably not a great sign. Do you have the same issue with people hurting animals in fiction? Depends. Again, I want to get off this topic. People do get weird about desperately seeking an exception, and it's super strange. Yeah, breathing nerddom. Yeah, it's a thing that happens. Felix is in it, Nick, just barely. Do you think one streamer might be a better home than another for Doctor Who? I was asked this last time. I don't know. I don't. No. They're all a mess. They all suck for similar reasons. No, not really. Received pronunciation is the natural accent of people who were educated in British private schools. So no, it's not, though. Because if you got the accent from the school, that's not your natural accent. That might be the accent you can't shake because it was hammered into you. That doesn't make it a natural accent. Like, the natural accent is what you develop just existing. If you get a specific accent as a result of your schooling, that's not a natural accent. That might be her default speaking voice at this point, but I do not agree that that is a natural accent. So I am actually going to pop over to the Discord really quick. And reminder, Council of Geeks Discord is a Patreon exclusive perk. You get to ask me questions there in addition to, just being able to be in community with nifty people. Okay, let's see. Does the nature of the MCU preclude being able to do reinterpretations of the same comic book stories at some point down the line? How there have been multiple versions of Superman story or the Batman story on screen. Does the MCU mean we can't ever really do like another big version of Iron Man story because all the Marvel movies have to be in the same continuity, and in that continuity, Iron Man story has already happened and he's dead? Yeah. Basically, yes. Unless they do a hard reset on the continuity or a whole bunch of any number of the, be it multiverse or time, excuses or whatever, but like that would be ill-advised if they're trying to continue to maintain the same continuity. Keep in mind, like, fundamentally, DC in comics has hard reset a couple of times. And so even in the comics, they have redone Superman's origin, Batman's origin, Wonder Woman's origin, as well as other specific stories. Marvel, I'm not going to say it's never done continuity adjustments. It is yet to do a hard reset. So even in the comics, while they might do some retcon stuff, and when they had the Ultimate Universe, that was its own thing, but they haven't actually done a hard reset even in the comics. In his autobiography, Stephen Fry talks a lot about how he doesn't like to get into public arguments with people he considers friends, like even if he believes they're in the wrong. Until recently, that was incredibly evident with how he was handling Rowling. And even now, he's still trying to be somewhat nice to her. Yeah, I know. Does being that intentionally conflict averse kind of preclude you from being a good public advocate for a marginalized group like queer people? Yeah, kind of, depending on who your friends are, what people you are willing to maintain friendships with. Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of does. You know how the Doctor met Conrad on New Year's Eve 2007 when the Doctor visits time periods in the last 20 years, i.e. since the revived show started? Should or shouldn't they make reference to the stuff that canonically is going on in the show's universe at the time? Like, how would you feel if Conrad's mother said something like, I didn't think we'd get to celebrate New Year's thing after the thing with the spiderweb Christmas star? No, don't do that. It's awkward and clunky, and fans aren't going to thank you for it. They're not going to go like, oh, it's a thing I remember. Like, it has no relevance. There's almost no way to deliver that smoothly and not have it be clunky. No, I don't think they should be doing that. Unless it's actually a part of the story. Unless it's actually integral to the story. No, I don't. No, don't do that. Ellie from Who Culture says she would have preferred if the Ronnie was only played by Anita Dobson throughout season 2, as that was the incarnation we got familiar with up until the finale. However, RTD has argued that it was important that he cast an Indian actress to play her, as the original character was named after and inspired by Indian culture. Which of the two opinions do you side with the most? Neither. If that was what mattered to Russell, he should have cast an Indian person as the part from the beginning and let them stay in the part, do an eventual reveal, and don't do a regeneration or bi-generation or any of that. So they're both wrong. If that's what Russell wanted to accomplish, he should have just done it. Because Ellie is right that bringing in a second performer doesn't help. And if that was Russell's goal, then he went about it backwards. How do you think it's possible that a writer such as Ella Road co-wrote an episode as bad as Legend of the Sea Devils, but then went on to co-write something as good as Eulogy in the latest season of Black Mirror? Because, so there's two interpretations. There's one that some people would say, but I will not. There are some people who would say, obviously, she's just a blank slate and she's heavily influenced by whoever she's working with. I don't know her work, but I am going to say that that is a disrespecting her abilities as a writer, which I have no reason to do. So what I will say is you write to the assignment. And if the assignment isn't great or limiting or sucks, there's only so much you can do. Some assignments will give you the chance to really show what you can do, and some assignments are going to be just get something on the page. Like, we tend, because writing is like a dream job for a lot of people, I think it's easy for people who don't do it professionally to think like, why would you write a script that isn't good? Because you have to pay your bills. You're not going to be passionate about every single thing you ever work on. You can't be if you want to actually make a living. So some stuff is just going to be the job. And you do what you can with it, but maybe there isn't much to be done, and you just got to move on to the next thing. And sometimes you get to really delve into something personal and meaningful. But that is not going to be every writing assignment. It can't be. Not for a professional writer for hire. When watching an episode from an anthology show such as Black Mirror, do you read the episode synopsis before watching, or do you prefer to go in completely blind? I do not read episode synopses. I'm not going to say I never pull them up. I will sometimes pull up synopses while watching a thing, but if I do, that's usually a bad sign. It's usually because I feel like I missed something, or it has completely lost my attention. I'm trying to figure out how much of the plot is left, beyond just looking at the runtime, because sometimes knowing how many minutes isn't the same as knowing how much plot is left. So like if I'm checking the synopsis while watching something, which does happen sometimes, it's a bad sign, but I don't check in advance. Given that you're done with the MCU as it stands, correction. I said I am over it. I didn't say I was done with it. It is no longer a priority. I have not said I will not watch it anymore. So let's correct that. What are some of the things you're looking forward to with the DCU undergun? Nothing. I haven't seen enough of it. I have no expectations. I have nothing. I have nothing to base an answer on. I haven't seen the Superman stuff. I like Peacemaker, but that's not a good. And I liked mostly I liked Creature Commandos, but those aren't things to gauge the overall direction of the whole thing off of. So I have no basis to answer that. Are there any other non-Big Two related graphic novel properties you'd like to see developed? Why or why not? I mean, I'm going to skip why not, because that would literally be anything that I don't say should be. And so throw why not out the window. Far West, talked about that one years and years and years ago. I think would be a really fun movie. That is kind of a standard fantasy tropes infused Western. So like, Western town, kind of desert setting, outlaws and sheriffs and train barons, but also elves and trolls and dragons and magic. That one's a lot of fun. I think that would be a real fun movie. I'll just go with that one. There's probably others I could think of, but I'll go with that. Assuming you don't skinny dip, what kind of swimwear do you prefer? I go with a tankini and shorts. For both my comfort and those of others, because generally if I'm going swimming, it's a family event. So this may have come already. I'm not staying up for the stream, but do you have any thoughts on the directing of targeting corporates participating in pride events by groups who have principal disagreements with them on what are ostensibly non-LGBTQ plus issues? Specifically thinking Cisco and action taken against this float at London Pride. Okay, so I did look this up. So for context, at London Pride, Cisco, which is a telecommunications company, had a float, and it was, I don't know the full details of what happened, but it was basically vandalized by a group who has a problem with Cisco based on its support of Israel. So basically the pro-Palestinian. I in no way want to belittle the cause. Free Palestine. It is a genocide. It needs to stop. That having been said, doing something like that, and not to defend Cisco, screw them, but to interrupt an event meant to support a marginalized group in order to highlight the issues of a different marginalized group that, to be clear, in this case is not being directly oppressed by the group currently being celebrated. It smells of that thing where you say, hey, these people are being oppressed, and somebody gets in your face and goes, yeah, well, what about this? What about this? What about all these other people? Don't you care about them? Ha, ha, ha. It's like, we can care about more than one thing. And I don't even necessarily say that it was their intent to have that kind of energy, but it is similar energy. It is similar energy to when somebody like me talks about transgenocide in the US, which I did an entire video on years ago and is no less relevant. It's depressingly more so. And they show up in my comments and start listing other genocides I should care about more. It has that energy, and I find that energy unproductive, misguided. I'm inclined to think that this group probably was doing what they did in good faith, as opposed to the kinds of people who show up in my comments, which I would bet you dollars to donuts 9 times out of 10, they are there in bad faith, just trying to stir up crap. They are there to disrupt any possible support. They actually don't care about the causes that they're claiming to care about. I am going to give benefit of the doubt to this group on that front. I don't think it is the most helpful thing to be doing. Given that you often said the companion is the way into the doctor, where does that leave 15 for you if Belinda is a failed companion in that way, among others? All right. I need a little more distance. I need to think about where I want to assess and place the 15th Doctor overall. Probably before the year's over, I'll probably do a new ranking of the Doctors because I think I also have to put 14 on the list. And hell, I might even put the Schalke Doctor on the list because he's been canonized now. So I guess I've got 3 to add to the list. So I'll probably do a new ranking before the year's over. So not to give away where he might land, but I will say that I'm struggling with a combination of his brief time and the companion dynamics to really feel like I fully get him, which was a similar issue that I've had with the 13th Doctor and with the 5th Doctor. So it's not a problem unique to him, but it's something that I'm still mulling over. But yeah, it's a bit of an issue. All right, I am popping on back to the main chat. Hello, all. If you asked anything that that while I was away, I didn't see it. So yes, this is your chance to bring it back up. Received pronunciation is what's called a sociolect. It's an accent that speakers are specific to a particular class or ethnic group rather than a place. African American vernacular is also a sociolect. Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you that that's what received pronunciation is. It still feels weird to me to call it an accent, given that it is something that would not develop until you're in school. Like, if you want to compare it to African American vernacular, kids are going to pick that up basically as soon as they start talking, if that's what they're raised in. You get me? Feels like we got more from Eccleston's 1 year. I mean, whether it was designed to be or not, he felt like he had a completed arc. A heck of a lot more than Gatwa did. Gatwa's exit feels like what it is, which is a tacked on, okay, bye, out the door without proper build-up or payoff or sense of completion. It feels like an interrupted run instead of a completed run. Got worried when listening to the first 13th Doctor story from Big Finish that they were carrying on Chibnall's needless cruelty by killing a dog. Thankfully, red herring. That's a relief, Rowan. Yeah, I haven't checked out any of the 13th Doctor stuff from Big Finish. The thing is, like, they do legitimately often, not 100% of the time, but they do often try to evoke not just, like, the Doctor, but also that Doctor's era. And I know that's something that they try and do most of the time, so it wasn't an unfair concern. I still rank 15 higher than 13. Like, I don't know where they're gonna land. I am going to have to figure out when I want to do that. Cause yeah, I've got 3 to add in. Yeah, I got to figure that out. Still so disappointed about the second RTD run. I'm frustrated with it. I don't think I'm disappointed with it, but I think it's also because I didn't have the expectations everybody else did. It's hard to be disappointed when you don't expect that much. Like, I had a video that I put out on the break room 2 years ago. Over 2 years ago. No, year and a half? Something. It was after the first Christmas special. With Gatwa. And I put a video out in the break room basically saying I've lost my enthusiasm for RTD coming back. And I tried to explain, like, I'm not saying I now expect it to be bad, but I can't be enthusiastic because I expect it to be more of the same that he already did. And I got, like, if I if I ever get in a really, really bitter mood, then I'll dig up that video and so many of the comments that gave me crap for that opinion and called me needlessly negative or how great the era was going to be and all of that. If I ever get into a really bitter mood, I'll gather all those up and throw something out on Blue Sky or in a short or something and go, I freaking told you so, where are my apologies? I try to not be that bitter, but dang, boy. Dang. That video aged like a fine wine. But in a way, it kind of cushioned me. I was nowhere near as let down by other people because I didn't expect as much. I just didn't. I think River would have made a better Doctor than bringing back Bad Wolf. I don't think they should have brought back anybody. I think they should have left it as an ambiguous regeneration, not show us who he regenerated into, and just leave it open-ended until they can get their feet under them again. But that's not what they did. So, apologies if it's already been discussed. With the news that HBO are removing Doctor Who content at the end of July. Oh, is that when they're doing it? Great. Assuming Disney's done with it. Do we feel a new partnership has been agreed elsewhere? No, we know it hasn't. It'll be announced when it is. We know it hasn't. If there was a new agreement in place, then whatever place was going to take it would be going, hey, we're going to start carrying Doctor Who, in August or September, or whenever they can get it up and running. So, yeah. If there's anything I can say for 15's run, I really enjoy the heavy emotional moments that RTD brought in. His characters felt more real and multidimensional in the way that Moffat or Chibnall never did. Especially after doing my rewatch, I have always heard, and I used to say as well, RTD did emotion better than Moffat. I don't agree. RTD handles emotion differently than Moffat, but I at this point push back on the fan narrative that Moffat's work has characters who don't have emotional depth or have an emotional truth to them. I actually push back on that. I'm not saying that every character works, but I also don't say that about RTD's era either. So, but yeah, I push back on that fan characterization because after I finished my rewatch of both those eras, I'm like, no, RTD is not as flawless at this as people think, and Moffat's better at it than people think. Have you seen Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish? I have no idea what that is, Black Cover. I haven't got the first clue what that is. Who would you maybe choose as a possible showrunner of Doctor Who? I have no idea. I heard J. Michael Straczynski wants to do it. I wouldn't be mad at it. Should someone do a parody where the Doctor regenerates into K9? I mean, if someone's got to make a parody, they can do whatever they want. Like, I don't find that funny. Somebody will. I like fan service, so I'm bummed that Shooty's the only Doctor on TV didn't get to face any of the big three. Yeah. I mean, like, I understand that disappointment. That's just, like, so far down the list of my frustrations with this era that it doesn't even register. RGD is more on the nose about emotion. That's the main difference, in my opinion. That's not an unfair way to go about it. Yeah. RTD likes his crying in the rain, and Moffat likes his stoic face holding back pain. One is more in your face than another. It's kind of a nitpick, but it annoyed me that 15 introduced himself by saying, my name is the Doctor, as opposed to just, I am the Doctor. Stops people from asking themselves what his name actually is. I never noticed that. So obviously it didn't bother me. Maybe I just gel more with RTD's emotional writing. That's fair. I mean, you can have a preference. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just super excited for Strange New Worlds. Need some Trek, and damn, I hope it's good. Too many letdowns of shows lately. I am not super excited. I didn't particularly like the second season, much of it. And the current state of Trek, like, I don't want to get into this because, like, a lot of it I have just skipped. So, like, you can go to Jessie for more in depth on what's going on there. But, like, you know, she and I also talk off mic when we do our podcast records. So she's vented to me about some of what's gone on with Trek. And I'm kind of tilting my head going, really? Okay. Maybe they could throw more of the budget at the writers and less of the VFX. You don't need a higher budget for the writers. You just need to give them more time. If you were in the Doctor Who universe, would you rather be the Doctor, companion, or the Master? So, I'm going to answer this in different ways because I am an actor. If you're asking me as a performer, I would want to be the Doctor. If you're asking me as like a person, who would I want to be if that universe was real? Companion. Doctor's got too much trauma and so does the Master for that matter. War between the land and the sea. Excited, not bothered, indifferent. It's a thing I intend to watch. Take that as you will. I think there are some fans who would have lost their minds if Conrad's mother made a reference to the Ragnos. They're annoying, easily pleased people, but they do exist. I'm not saying they don't exist. I also think they're a much smaller sliver of the fandom than either creators who pander to them or other fans who are annoyed by them tend to think. In like 20 to 40 years, do you think they should bring back Ruby in the same way they did Sarah Jane in season 2? Not really. I mean, not unless the show goes on a comparably long hiatus. Like right now, we're probably looking at a 3 to 5 year hiatus. If the show goes on a, what was it? 16-year hiatus? If the show goes on a hiatus over a decade, then yes, there'd be value in doing that in terms of connecting it to previous eras. Unless that happens, no, I don't think it's a thing that's been done. I don't think we need to do it again. I would like to see villains who only appear just once in Doctor Who return. I wouldn't really, because most of the ones who've appeared only once did what they needed to do. Like, I've done lists before, and I don't remember who was on too many of them. I've done a list of one-time villains who should never return and one-time villains who it would be cool if they returned. And I do not remember all the entries on either one. But most good one-time villains, I think, should stay one-time villains. I think the top of my list for one-time villain to return is Mr. Finch, which was Anthony Stewart Head's character from the Series 2 episode School Reunion. He is the top of my bring them back list. The Dream Lord is another one. But although if the Dream Lord was ever brought back, what I would want them to do, you could still have Toby Jones if you wanted, but I would want him to play it differently because he was playing like the inverted evil version of the 11th Doctor. And if they ever brought him back, I would like him to play the evil inverted version of whatever Doctor is around at the time. But I would still like to see the Dream Lord back. But by and large, like, they shouldn't have touched on Midnight again, but I've had that rant. The Beast, don't bring that back. Honestly, the Family of Blood, don't bring that back. How about the Mara? The Mara is not a one-time villain. The Mara appeared twice in the classic era. I think New Who has a lack of iconic monsters that can be recurring in the ways the Dalek and Cybermen are. And for the record, that's okay. Because, like, we talk about classic and we bring up, like, the Daleks and the Cybermen. Like, okay, those were both created within the first 3 years. How much of what even classic created in the years after that was worth bringing back? The Sontarans? That's one. That was by the end of the third Doctor's era. So okay, we're 3 Doctors in, but like what else since then? The Master, again, third Doctor. I don't feel I'm not sure I'd say that even classic really created any new iconic Doctor Who monsters after, and like I wouldn't even necessarily count the Sontarans if the revival hadn't done so much with them. Like I'm not sure there's been a new properly iconic Doctor Who villain since the Master was created. So like let's not pretend this is a New Who problem. Classic couldn't keep cranking them out either. But if Doctor Who did a miniseries where the toy maker makes the Doctor play Squid Game, why? Why? The point of Squid Game is to comment on capitalism. What the hell would that be commenting on? That would be a debasement of both properties. No. I watched Jurassic World Dominion to prepare for the new one. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that there aren't any that couldn't come back, tabletop. I'm saying that they aren't iconic. That's what I'm saying. I would argue the Ice Warriors are not iconic. The Daleks are iconic. The Cybermen are iconic. The Master's iconic. Sontarans debatably. And the Weeping Angels, whether you think it was a good idea for them to come back or not, they are iconic at this point. And it wasn't a good idea for them to come back. They should have stopped at a certain point. But what about the meddling monk for a Doctor Who return villain? I mean, it's probably going to happen eventually. He's one of the few who's still around. And, like, we know he's viable for revival because Big Finish has been using him for ages. So do you have any movie recs that are I Saw the TV Glow-esque? I'm not sure I do. That's it's kind of a singular film, that one. If you want something that does a really good job of communicating the pain of being an outsider while being less traumatizing as a viewing experience, watch Nimona. The Weeping Angels, the Silence, I would not call the Silence iconic. I don't think that, no. Arguably the Slitheen, no. The Ood, yeah, but the Ood aren't villains. They become a background feature. I would not count the Slitheen at all. The Weeping Angels, I'll give you. The Silence, arguable. The Ood, I guess. Doesn't have to literally be Squid Game, just that idea. Again, why? I don't get the appeal, what the appeal would be. Like, I'm not a mashup person. I'm not a, ooh, let's take this thing and put it in this person. I'm not. Like, I'm a bad person to pitch that to. if you want an enthusiastic response. I'm just not, I'm not the person to be going for that. Tori, the tone, it's vibes are off. Tone it down a little if you could. Were the Ood ever truly villains? No. No, they weren't. But anyways, I am actually going to wrap it up. Thank you all very much for joining me on this one. I hope everybody has a great rest of the day, rest of the week. Have a good July. Try not to melt in the heat. But yeah, good to see you all. I'm going to try and get that review of K-Pop Demon Hunters edited and up in the Break Room of Geeks, which is my secondary channel. I'll try and have that up in the next half hour or so. Half hour to an hour. Coming up, I will be streaming on Break Room of Geeks tomorrow. I'm probably going to be streaming the Stray Gods DLC for Orpheus. And Saturday's video is about Belinda and my thoughts on her, which aren't great. So that'll be Saturday's video right here. It is currently available for early access viewing to YouTube members and Patreon supporters. So you can check that out. That's what's coming up this week. So thank you so very much. You all take care of yourselves. Remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, you are loved. Yes, context friends, happy Disability Pride Month. Absolutely. Go get an ice cream. Thank you, Marielle. Thank you very much. Be well, be safe, be kind. Remember that you are the council. I am just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!